I think it's only proper to start by congratulating Esperance, beating us over two legs and on both 1-0 scorelines. Reflects for me that they deserve to be in the final. So let me take this opportunity to congratulate them for two good results that put them in the final of the Champions League, and I can only wish them well moving forward against, against Al Ahly. Yeah, it's a difficult feeling. We've been talking about improving our performances to give ourselves a chance to win, and I just looked at even some of the data. Last time you asked me about data, and I looked at it today. I said, but I hope somebody's going to ask me about the data today, because I mean, it's if I felt that we dominated in Tunisia, I don't know what other narrative to use today. But these type of games are, and I said to the players that these type of games are about margins. And I knew, and we all knew, through the analysis and the work that we did, that the goal from either side would either come from a moment of brilliance in and around the opposition box or a mistake. And in both legs we committed two very, very big mistakes. In Tunisia, it came from a throw-in. We didn't overload, and they found the circulation, and they made the run from deep. After the striker pulled out to the centre back, and it is a movement that we knew. Last night, I spent some time, and Mario Masha was reminding me, because I spent some time watching their game against Etoile. And they created 3 or 4 chances similar to the goal that they scored today, actually. And this morning when we were doing the pre-match talk, I showed the clips, but this is football, you know. Then they get a goal kick. And we then go on and consider a very, very soft goal. But we tried our best against a very experienced team in this competition. And now it's just time for me to stick very close to the players, because they are the ones that got us this far. And they are the ones that have helped us to be the team that we are. And I think more than anything, it's time to make them feel how loved they are, and stick as close to them as we possibly can. The most important thing when you play against the North Africans is ball in playtime. And when it's a 45-minute half, you've got a bit more of an extensive ball in playtime, or greater chance to have a more extensive ball in playtime. And then you consider also altitude, because that was something that we knew was in our favor. And altitude is not heat. Many people make the difference between, of course, I think maybe even playing at 3 o'clock would have made a significant difference, and even if it was 1% difference. But we had a lot of things going against us, and that's life, that's football. But now we've got to pick ourselves up. We've got to pick the players up. I'm humbled that the chairman of the club has already addressed the players and tried to pick them up in the change room, because it's a down-spirited change room. You know, the players feel like they gave it their all, and rightfully so, because I thought they were amazing today. I think they ran more, they tried more, they put a lot of volume in and around the box. They created more chances, and you could feel that as it was going, even especially with Mudiba's chance that hit the crossbar and then comes back to rebound to Lodge, you then have a feeling that you could play for even another 90 minutes and you probably won't score. Not only because of the maybe sometimes the decision making inside the box and all these things, but also because of the excellence of the keeper. But we did our work. We knew that there are spaces, especially when you play a 4-3-3 like that with 1 6 and 2 8s, and you want to defend in a low block. There are spaces that you can't defend, and I think we exposed those areas very, very well. But we were just not ruthless enough in taking our chances from those areas, and those areas could be maybe from the fullbacks, and you saw how we had possibilities with Divine. Maybe it is in front of the defensive midfielder or on his pockets, and you saw how many balls fell to Marcelo, how many balls fell to Lucas, how many balls fell to Obas. Or maybe it's even spaces behind the defensive line, when there's certain situations arise. But and you can't, then they struggle to defend those areas. But we just, it was not our day today. But I'm very proud of the players, and I'm very proud to be their coach. I love them, and I'm very proud of their of their efforts, and maybe it's an opportunity also to apologize to the Sundowns supporters for a bad result and a result I'm sure that I hope they feel that we feel it just as badly as they feel it. Oh yes, I speak. I one of the most important things about what I've learned from some of the many or maybe little discussions and things that I read is how important communication is, and I speak to the players a lot. So I did speak to Lodge, I spoke to Mshishi, but I also spoke to Bongani Zungu because he also has just come back. I speak to Tashrik because Tash played well and scored a goal last game, but he's been struggling with a stomach bug. I spoke to Tapelo Morena, who I thought even when he came on was very good today. He was good in the last game as well. Modiba also has been playing well for us, so I had to speak to him. But I speak to them. I talk as much as I possibly can. I explain the reasons why. They don't always have to agree with the reasons, but they know that they've got to respect the reasons because I'm the coach and I have to make the decisions. And sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. And unfortunately, in this game of football, it's the result that determines whether you are right or wrong. And in this moment, because we lost and we are out of the Champions League, well, I was wrong. And I put up my hand and I say I was wrong. And therefore, I take full responsibility for it. And it's something that I have to shoulder. As the leader, I can't hide, no chance, and of course face the scrutiny, the negative reactions that will come after, and that's only normal because of the nature of this business. So, yeah, that's just that. Well, I've made a promise to the Sundowns fans that we will win it, and I am a man of integrity. I want to be at this club. That's why I signed a 4-year contract, even though and people may think that, okay, but it's even though I had bigger clubs in that stature making offers, and I chose that I want to stay at Sundowns. I didn't choose that because I was emotional. I chose that after lots of deliberations with my family, with the club, with the Motsepe family, and also with the players. And so my intentions are to be here and to try to do my best every single day to deliver the Champions League trophy. But of course, football is a game that is business and result orientated. And I don't make those decisions about which coach stays or which coach goes. But while I'm here, the club will know that I will give 150%. And if 150% is not good enough like today, I will give 200% the next time. Is it experience or is it maturity? I don't know what it is. But I also have an understanding that this game of football can be very cruel. I've experienced it before. I've been through a lot of failures in my life. That's why I appreciate success, no matter how small it may be, because I know I'm not guaranteed to succeed because I've failed so many times. And this is also one of those failures, but it's a failure that I'm prepared to take. And one of the things that I think South African football forgets, which sometimes South African football remembers only when it suits them, is that I'm only 37 years old and that I am only on my first year as the head coach of Mamelodi Sundowns. But I've been here as a co-coach now for 3 years. And if you count those 3 years as a co-head coach, we've won how many league titles? We've won the Nedbank Cup. We've won the MTN 8. We've won a continental trophy. And so when I look at my tenure in my return to Sundowns, I myself feel very proud and privileged that I could contribute to this football club. But as I said, it's part of the process, and I'm here to serve. Like many of us in the technical team, we do everything that we can to try to help the club. But at the end, for sure, there needs to be a leader, and the leader is in front in bad moments especially. And he can take the back seat in the good moments, but in the bad moments I've got to be in front, and I've got to take responsibility and shoulder the blame for the Champions League exit. Does losing my job cross my mind? Yes. It crosses my mind every day. Every day. I have to prove myself worthy to be the coach of Mamelodi Sundowns every single day. But in responding to your question, I can say to you two things. One is I feel the support of the players. I feel the support of the family that runs this football club. I feel the support of senior management. And that's important. I feel the support of the staunch Sundowns fans who realize where this club is as compared to where this club used to be, and the difficulties that they have gone through with this club, and how much it means to them to continue to win and to be respected on the African continent, whereas in the past many teams would come here and would think, oh, it's easy to play against. And I remember Sundowns losing 5-0 in a knockout stage of the Champions League, and gone are those days. Teams don't play against Sundowns, whether home or away, and play open. And this is something that shows how much we've grown as a team and how big we've become. And I'm proud that today we could even try different things. We could go to the sides more. We could try the double underlap. We could try to put balls in the box. We could try the diagonal dodge. We could try finding the space in the tens. So I'm happy we could try a lot of different things, today. And that shows that I'm not so stuck in my ways. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to try to help this team to win. Whether that's recognized and appreciated is not up to me. What is up to me is to give everything that I can. But I'm also going to take you to a situation that happened in not so long ago, now in European football. A couple of months ago, Nagelsmann was the youngest coach, one of the youngest coaches to ever coach a big club like Bayern Munich. At that time, they were still in the running for 3 competitions. They were in the running for the league. They were in the running for the Champions League, which they still are. And they were only 2 points, if I'm not mistaken, from Dortmund, if I'm not, and the eventual winners, which were crowned, were probably 17th or 18th at that time, but somewhere there when Xabi Alonso was appointed. And all of a sudden, Thomas Tuchel became available. And the name, and not the work, of Nagelsmann interested Bayern Munich. And they went to say, oh, okay, let's change and get Thomas Tuchel in. A few months later, the league title is gone. They are out of the competition, and the league title is very important in Germany for Bayern. They are out of the cup, and now they've got the Champions League, which they beat Arsenal in. And then you find a situation where now they've made a decision to get rid of Thomas Tuchel, and then made an approach to try to get Nagelsmann back. So sometimes what you have, you don't appreciate as much, and you look for it somewhere else. And only for you to recognize that what you had was actually the best thing. And this is not me talking about myself and my job at the moment. It's me talking about facts. That the teams that have had sustained success are the teams that have consistency in their leadership and in their coaching. And that's a fact. The most successful teams are the teams that say to them, this is our coach. In good moments, we appreciate, and in bad moments, we stick together. You go into history. The best teams, best Liverpool teams at the moment, Jurgen Klopp. People say, but in my opinion, I think he's overachieved because of the level that Manchester City are at. How many times, I think 2 seasons in a row where they lost the league with a number of points where in any other circumstances they would have won the league. They won the Champions League because of how many years has he been there. It's the same if you go to Real Madrid. The most successful time was when they had it at Vicente Del Bosque. Stable every single year and going for it. They then had Zidane, stable every single year and going for it. Is Carlo Ancelotti staying and going for it? He could have gone to Brazil, the rumors were saying, but he was staying and going for it. Manchester City, Pep, staying and going for it. You go to Man United, how many coaches in the last few years? Very difficult. You go to PSG, with all the resources that they put in, how many coaches? Very difficult. You go to Chelsea, with all the resources that they have, how many coaches? Tuchel, Potter. So it's not me. It's about the job that we do, and that's that. But the reality of this job is that the moment you come in is the moment you prepare to go out. And that's the reality of the job of being a football coach. You first have to accept the profile of the competition. And the profile of the competition means that you play home and away. And because there is also the law or the rule, which the Europeans have taken out now, to try to stimulate the level playing grounds from a technical, tactical perspective in terms of approach of the teams, is the away goals rule. And so in the Champions League in Africa, the away goals rule is so important. But then you find how influential the crowd is in relation to creating the conditions to support the home team and influence maybe a level of intimidation on the away team. And that's important, whether people believe it or not, but it is important. It's a psychological benefit. And if it could give 1% benefit, it is there. If you look at us as Sundowns, for an example, I think our supporters are only now learning how to play the Champions League. You can feel in certain moments how they drive the team, how they drive, but they still are a group that suffers with the team. But if you look at the North African sides, the supporters in difficult moments don't suffer with the team. In fact, they're the ones that give energy to the team to push them to suffer more. And they enjoy suffering because in South Africa, we clap for a chance created or for a skill. In North Africa, they clap for a block, for a tackle, for a player that's on the ground bleeding. They clap and So that type of mentality is one that players feel we can do more of this because this is what makes our people happy. The other thing is the distances in flying. So if you've got more teams qualifying from North Africa, it means you are traveling from sub-Sahara or southern point of Africa to the northern point of Africa. And then it's a little bit less complex if you've got a lot more North African teams where if you are in the group stages, for an example, and that accumulation of fatigue in your travel eventually catches up with you in the semifinals and in the finals. Because in the group, you might have, out of 4 teams, you might have 2 teams from North Africa. That means that you don't have in your group, our group, for an example, who did we have? We had Mazembe. That's a bit of a stretch to travel. We had Pyramids. That's a bit of a stretch to travel. But I'm talking about these things because these are things that, unlike Europe, for an example, to go from Germany to London is probably 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, maybe, or sometimes even less, depending on the mode of transport. That is affected. The fact that sometimes even our schedule and our calendar doesn't go together. It's difficult to try to manage the season where you've got the objective of trying to play a league game, and we were the only side left in the last 4 that had a league game midweek, and no one else had midweek games. Al Ahly, I think, have played only 7 domestic games in their league, only 7. The rest is postponement, so they have time to prepare for the games in the Champions League. There are so many dynamics, and then you've got experience of not just playing for your club in these type of games and games of consequence, but also playing for your national team, and your national team doing well and getting into the semi-finals and the finals with the players that are coming from Mamelodi Sundowns and or from Al Ahly, for an example. But if I look at the tide, I can only go to AFCON. First, I go to AFCON and I say in the last 4, we had South Africa, we had Ivory Coast, we had Nigeria, and I think we had Congo. We had no North African side. I look at the Champions League and I say in the Champions League we had 2 North African sides. We had a team from Congo and we had a team from South Africa. Now, there's, in the 2 big competitions on the continent, there's a South African and there's a Congolese. So if you ask me whether or not the gap is closing or widening, I would say based on the results and what I see in the immediate, is that there is possibilities that we are closing the gap. But it is a big gap because there's football heritage. There's years and years and years of doing this thing. And the more you do something, it's like life. The more you do something, the more skilled you are at doing it. And you know what works and what doesn't work. And at times, this is what we are trying to get through, to say what works in the Champions League, what doesn't work in the Champions League. And that's not only about the tactics. That's about the preparation. That's about the choice of time. What time do you play? The pitch. It's about how do you fly and travel? Which hotels do you stay in? And that's why we've got an advanced group that's over the years trying to find solutions to say where we are. So it's a very broad question, which has a lot more to do than the tactics itself. And a lot of people will talk about the tactics and the dark arts and sitting back and that. I don't want, unfortunately, I am the type of human being that grew up in a family where my family produced a Jomo Sono and my family produced a KK Sono, for an example. So that's how I feel football. I feel football from an offensive sense. In the township, when we played football, the players that were admired the most were not players like myself who played at centre back and just were defending. The guys that were fought for, Maslali Challenge, 5-a-side, were actually the guys that could make the difference offensively, dribble 2 or 3 players and make something happen. And so for me, football is a game that I feel needs to be played in a certain way to evoke certain emotions. And when I watch it, I ask myself, Would my late grandfather, Skarasono, watching that game, would he be proud to see a team that I coach play the way it plays? Would I be proud if I was sitting on top to see a team that I support, because I am a Sundowns supporter, play the way it plays? And that's the first thing that I always ask myself. And so maybe that is the question, is that enough to win you the Champions League? And so far, clearly, it's not enough. I don't know. I wish I knew. If I knew, Titi, we would be in the final. I really don't know. And it's okay not to have all the answers. I spent together, in fact, I must say, we spent a lot of time, Coach Michael and I, talking to analysts of Tottenham, talking to analysts of Liverpool, and asking, how do you break down a reinforced block? And fortunately, they gave us so much information, clips, ideas, notes, presentations that they have made to their teams when they play Crystal Palace and they play against West Brom, and some of the tactical concepts they try to develop. And that's what I can tell you, is that when I don't know anything, I invest time to try to find. I surround myself with people who are even smarter than myself, who can give me ideas and solutions. And I can't talk about Chiefs, I can't talk about Pirates, and I can't really talk about Sundowns over the last few years. I can talk about where we are. And I can say I'm very proud of this group to do what they've done, to be so close all the time. But it's football, you know. Good sometimes is not good enough. And people expect you to have all the answers. But it's okay to sit and say, I actually don't know. When I read the books of people like Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, they've gone into meetings and they've been asked, how do we improve the product? And they've said, I don't know. And these are the most successful business people in the world. So I don't know where we miss it. It could be luck. I think today we were very unlucky. But sometimes even when you're unlucky, you also have bad luck, because we also concede such a soft goal. And as I said to you, you need luck in this competition. You really need luck in this competition, because before they went to go score, we had two very good chances to score. And then from absolutely nothing, a goal, a kick from the keeper into our half. Goes into the back of the net. But that's football, isn't it? I think I've got to fetch the glass first. And I don't see a glass in front of me. That's the problem. Is at this moment in time, I'm gutted. I'm probably less gutted than the players. I see the change room now. They are very low, and rightfully so. They should feel the sadness. It's that we've let not only ourselves down, but we've let the club down. We've also let the supporters down. So it's difficult to say, because football is about that. I look at how we play the game. I look at how and holistically. I look at my team holistically. A continental final, a semi-final of three of the four competitions we have to play, and that's big. When last we achieved that as Sundowns? Well, a Club World Cup qualification, but you know how it is now. It's bittersweet. I say it's bittersweet because you need to have won the games in the group stages to give yourself a chance to be there. But yeah, as I say to you, I'm not sure how, and I think maybe that responsibility falls on the club, because the club needs to look at it and say, is it half full? And if it's half full, there's a positive feeling about the work that the coach is doing with his technical team. And if the club looks at it and says the glass is half empty, there's of course a sense of disappointment and unhappiness with the work that the coach and the technical team is doing. And that's football. You know, we have to take these things But one thing I can tell you is I am proud of this group. I'm proud of my technical team, and I am proud of myself for the amount of work that we put in and we try to do for this club and serve this club. It's not easy, but we try to do it as best as we possibly can.